Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Elevating Men. I'm your host, A.L. Johnson. Thanks for joining us this evening. Very excited about this interview. I've got a very special guest, Mr. Rich Thames. Let me just give you a little bit of information about this brother because he's very powerful, very knowledgeable, and he's here to help us really understand how we can live a life by design instead of just taking what's handed to us. Rich is a military veteran. He's the CEO of Growing to Greatness. He's been featured in Success from Home magazine. He's been a youth minister. He's a family man. He's just done so much, so much. How you doing, Rich?
I'm blessed beyond measure, brother. I cannot complain. And now I know about the interview. If you wanted me to call you Andrew or AL, I meant to ask you that before we started.
Either way, man. Either way, whatever rolls off the tongue easiest.
I'm a roll Andrew then.
That'll work. That'll work. So, just to start, man, tell us a little bit about your background, the military service. First off, thank you for serving the country, but tell us a little bit about your military experience.
Yes, sir. So I joined the military in 2001. I was 21 years old at the time. Just kind of going through the motions. Know I wanted something better out of life. And at that time, my oldest brother was very successful in the military. And I looked at him as somebody I looked up to and went to stay with him for a while and figure out this is what I want to do with my life. So joined the Air Force and absolutely loved it. And I was single, didn't have any kids. So I wanted to travel and I got my chance to travel. I deployed 5 times in my first 6 years in the Air Force. So I joined and ended up, I joined in 2001. And of course, we know about 9/11. And I actually was scheduled to fly on 9/11. But I stayed a little bit later because I did recruiter's assistance at home. And I'll never forget it. When 9/11 happened, I was actually on my way to the recruiter's office. They told me, turn around, go home, get out of your uniform, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on. So when I joined and went to my first duty station, we were already like in a war situation. And that's all I knew from, my military career. So, but it was great. I loved it. Got to see a lot of places of the world, meet some amazing people, including my queen, my wife. We've been married almost 18 years now. And we actually met at my tech school in California. So got a lot of blessings out of being in the military.
That's beautiful. One thing that we talk about here on Elevating Men is on how men can really improve themselves, and we try to start young. And so we have some partnerships with, different youth programs within the city. One question that I've always wondered when it comes to discipline and just really like forging work ethic, how much of your military experience do you feel instilled that in you and help with your success in business? Because a lot of people that I know personally who have been in the military and transitioned into business they tend to be more successful than the average. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. And it's funny because I teach people about that. I was in vehicle maintenance my first 6 years in the Air Force. Then I transitioned into education and training. And my career in education and training really helped me to become a successful entrepreneur because I did not have like a boss or a manager right there telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I worked for the commander and I pretty much managed his program for him. So if I was doing my job, they pretty much leave me alone and let me do what I needed to do. So I knew how to set up tasks and how to pretty much prioritize my day and understand the most important things I need to do. So it really helped me in my entrepreneurship, but it also gave me some skills to help teach and train people because my career field was education and training. So I actually took the skills and the knowledge that the Air Force taught me and applied it to the business side, and it helped tremendously. So I still do that to this day. I think about processes and things that we did in the Air Force and how we were always, looking for a way to improve and get better. And I still use that to this day to help me in our business and even in our family life.
Right, right. And I just really want to give people a sense of, why I brought you on today. And so you have the military background. You learned a lot of, training and how to organize and lead there. And you're currently a coach and a trainer for the John Maxwell team and a public speaker. As far as I know, John Maxwell is pretty much the standard for public speaking. And so can you share a little bit about that experience?
Man, he's the leader on leadership. That dude is phenomenal. He's a excellent trainer, an excellent person, just all around. And I had the privilege to meet him several times, and I actually met him through Team National, through my business, the first time. And just becoming a fan of what he taught, his leadership skills, and reading his books over and over. And I have some other mentors that went through his training program to become a speaker, a trainer, and a coach. So I actually went down through that route in 2016, and it's been a blessing. I met some amazing people. I'm all about connecting with people, building relationships, linking up with like-minded people, and it's a great community for that, and a great way to actually, lift the lid. He talks about the law of the lid. Your team, the people that you're leading, they're not going to grow beyond where you're at. So you have to always be looking to grow yourself and lift that lid, so you're not the stagnant part that's keeping your team from growing.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, 2 guys, 6 kidneys. I want to get into your story a little bit. And so you're a fellow podcaster. You have a show, 2 guys, 6 kidneys. That's an interesting title. Can you tell us what the show is about?
Absolutely. So I went through some health challenges when I was in the Air Force. Just out of the blue, got diagnosed with lupus. That lupus attacked my kidneys. And by the time that we found it, I was at 30%. My kidneys were only functioning at 30%. So I was in bad shape. Ended up hospitalized for about a week as they ran some tests and try to figure out what was going on with me. So long story short, my kidneys ended up failing. I ended up on dialysis, and I was on dialysis for almost 2 years. And during that time, it was a rough period. And I connected with some people, again, all about connection with people, building those relationships. I connected with some people on a Facebook group that we were all going through dialysis together. So I met a guy that was in San Antonio. We connected. We found out we're in the same city. And we ended up having kidney transplants like 2 weeks apart. I got mine first, and about 2 weeks later, he got a kidney transplant. And the crazy part about it is we ended up having them at the same exact hospital. San Antonio is huge. We had them at the same hospital, and our appointments, our follow-up appointments every single week was at the same day around the same time. So not only we connected in this group, our transplants were 2 weeks apart, and every week we were in a waiting room together, me and my wife and him and his wife. So we formed a relationship, and we just were thinking about ways that we can help. We're both, believers, both family men, and we were thinking of ways that we can help other people. And he was already doing podcasts, so he was talking about, us collaborating and doing something. I was like, I'm all for it. So that's how two guys, 6 kidneys came about. And the reason we called it 2 guys, 6 kidneys is we both discovered during our process of getting kidney transplants, we thought at first they would remove one kidney or remove the bad one and replace it. No, they actually just add another one in there. So we both really have physically 3 kidneys. So 2 guys, and you add our kidneys together, 6 kidneys.
Yeah, I actually checked out the show last week. I really like the part of it that it's also people helping people. And so you guys promote for people to actually become donors. And so I really think that's pretty cool. Have you had any connections through the podcast that, allowed someone to find, the person they were looking for? Or?
That's the best part. We actually had a guest on there, and he was on the first time he was on the show. He was in the process of looking for a transplant, looking for a donor. And right before he came on the show, the same day, he got the phone call that he had a potential match. So right before he came on the show, he had the phone call, got a potential match. We had him back. We actually was able to have him back right before he got his transplant. He lives in El Paso, Texas, but he came to San Antonio as well for his transplant. And we were blessed to have him on the show again after his successful transplant. So we got to go with every single step of the process with him and show that to our audience and the people that are going through it. Like, listen, people are really getting transplants and they're coming out better on the other end for not only the recipient, but also the donor.
That's beautiful, man. That is beautiful. So, I want to focus on your story just a little bit. And so I know you're a family man, got a beautiful wife and children down there in San Antonio, Texas. When you first were diagnosed with lupus and you realized the extent of the illness, can you kind of walk me through what that was like, sharing that with your family? Because I can only imagine. I have children myself. I've got a family. I just can't imagine what that conversation may have been like. Can you just walk us through, the diagnosis to the point of sharing that with your wife and children?
Absolutely. So, can you still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So, I was in Afghanistan when I first started actually noticing symptoms. I was deployed to Afghanistan. I started breaking out with rashes, and I would go see the doctor. They would give me some cream and put it on it, and the rash would never go away. It would go down a little bit, but it will always come back more aggressively, and it will move to different spots. So it was on my arm, on my head, on my back. So I started breaking out, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was deployed to Afghanistan, but I was stationed in Japan. So when I came back from Japan to the States, I finally was able to ask to see a specialist and figure out what was going on because it wasn't getting better. So they did some tests, did a biopsy, and that biopsy determined that I had discoid lupus. There's two types. The discoid lupus is a type that affects your skin. And you see people with like the butterflies around their face and, they break out, and we have different things that affect our skin. So they said, okay, you got discoid lupus. That explains the rash. And they said, we're just going to take some blood, do some tests, and we'll give you some ointment to put on it that'll help it. And we'll just go from there. The very next day, I got a phone call from the doctor. He said, Sergeant Thames, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and go straight to the emergency room. And I'm actually on my way to the gym, Andrew. Like I'm literally at the gym walking through because I was going to PT. So long story short, went to the emergency room, and they admitted me in the hospital and kept me for about a week because my kidneys were failing at the time. There was a lot of other issues that came from that kidney failure. I was anemic. My blood cells are all crazy. So it was a lot that they were trying to figure out. And that time during my stay at the hospital, I didn't feel sick. Now I was experiencing some symptoms. And to give you an example, I'm a basketball player. So I would play basketball, but then my knees would swell up and I would be like where I couldn't walk. And it would be like for weeks. And I'm like, man, what's going on? And the doctor's like, oh, how old are you? And I'm like 35. And they're like, yeah, well, you're about that age. You've been playing basketball a long time. And, time to hang out your basketball shoes. So I thought it was, that. Then, physically fit, I would run these PT tests and I would compete. Like I'm very competitive and I know I'm faster than the people that I'm running with. And at the end of the race, we're finishing our mile and a half or 2 miles or whatever we're doing. And we're pushing through the finish line and I'm giving it all I got. And it's like, I don't got no more gas in the tank. And these people are man, what's going on here? So those are the type of symptoms I had, but I still was just pushing through it. So the doctors are looking at me like, how are you doing this stuff that you're doing when you're in the shape that you're in? So they were really concerned because I was in bad shape. So I didn't feel bad at the time, but that kind of helped me because telling my family I didn't look sick. I had a smile on my face. I remember because I'm really close with my family, my brothers and sisters, my parents, my dad was alive at the time. So I had to tell them first. So I actually took a picture of me smiling and sent it to my family in a group text. And they all sent pictures back of them smiling. That's just, the vibe we were on at the time. So I told them I wanted y'all to see me smiling so y'all know that I'm okay, but I'm in the hospital and this is what's going on. So my mom was like, you need me to fly down? My sisters, everybody, they're like, all right, what do we need to do? So, and to be honest, thinking about the kids, they were, young. And I don't really think we went into detail. It was just like, daddy's sick. We got to figure out what's going on with them. So I don't think it was a lot of detail, but they knew I was in a hospital and, they had to come visit me at the hospital at that point. But I kept a positive attitude, kept a smile on my face. So it wasn't like they see me all, messed up or whatever while I was in there. But eventually I got to that point, really feeling sick and really feeling the effects of what I was going through.
Wow. So tell me about that part. So I find that interesting, the text message that you sent with you smiling in spite of the bad news that you had just received. And so what was going through your mind at that time? What prompted you to say, this is a time for me to send a picture smiling? And was it real? Is that really how you felt at the time? Or did you just want to portray to your family that you were okay?
I'm going to smile 99% of the time. Like 1%, you'll catch me and I'll have a mean mug or something, but I'm the type of person, I'm always happy. And I didn't want them to see me any other way. So, I had concerns, but I felt good. And I knew, I know who I serve and I know, whose I am. And my faith is strong. So I knew it was going to be all right. And even if, I ended up leaving the earth, I knew where I was going. So no matter what, I knew that I was going to be all right, but I wanted them to be all right. That's why I sent that picture smiling. I didn't want to send a picture of me, looking sick or crying in a hospital bed and have them worried. I want them to see, all right, he's in the hospital, but he's still smiling, so he's okay.
So what was your biggest concern? Because I there was a point in time I got robbed at gunpoint. It was a few years back, and so I had a moment where I had my life flash before my eyes, so to speak. And I remember the last words that I said to him was, don't shoot. I have kids. That's like all I could get out. Don't shoot. I have kids. When you were at that point, what was your biggest fear? Like if God were to call you home, what was your fear?
That was it. That was it. My wife and my kids, at that point, I was pretty much the picture of health. I didn't expect anything like this to happen to me. So it was like a big shocker. And it was like, man, it made me start thinking differently. It was something that made me really value my time on this earth and understand that all of our time is limited and we have no idea when we're going to be out of here. So it was like, I want to make sure that I'm being here for my kids. And it was like, it's out of my control right now. So what am I going to do? So it was like a defining moment of I'm in a bad situation, but I know for a fact a bad attitude won't help it. And I know for a fact a good attitude, although I'm going through it, is going to help me as I go through it. So it was scary. And I was thinking about, my wife and my kids. Those are like my main concerns at that time. What's going to happen with them if something happens to me?
So when you get to that point, because I really want to hammer on that, we talk a lot about fatherhood, on this show. And so one of our primary roles is like protector and provider. Those two, just kind of go hand in hand. And so when you had that fear that, hey, I may be gone, what type of fears did you have surrounding the provision part? Like what was going through your mind then?
So it wasn't more of a fear. It was more of a fire. It was a fire lit in me because I knew I had an opportunity. I knew I had a way to provide for my family, and I knew I had a way to set them up for the future. So it was like the fire was lit under me to make sure that I'm doing everything in my power to put something in place that will live on once I'm gone and provide for my family once I'm gone. So my wife would tell you, like, I didn't stop doing the business while I was in a hospital. Like I was literally in the hospital bed talking to people like I'm talking to you, sharing the opportunity with them, presenting my business and helping my teammates. And it was honestly a good thing for me because I needed a positive outlet. And that gave me a positive outlet, a way for me to focus my energy in something that's outside of me. I'm taking it off of me and I'm putting on other people to say, all right, I'm going through a tough situation, but I can help somebody else that's going through a tough situation and let me go out and share what I can do. And it helped me get through that tough time because I was surrounded by positive people and I was always sharing my story and trying to uplift and help somebody else out of a situation.
So you really had that race against the clock, so you had this fire burning like, hey, it's now or never, like literally now or never.
Yes,
and
sir.
So, I know a little bit about your story as far as the business and the trajectory of it, but can you shed some light on, where you were in business prior to the diagnosis and how that fire being lit up under you caused your business to accelerate?
Oh, absolutely. So this diagnosis came in 2014. We joined our business in 2007. So we had been in the business 7 years prior to that. And we didn't really take it seriously, honestly. We played around with it. We made some money. We saved some money. And we were smart with our money. So we got all out of debt. We paid off all of our debt with our extra money. And that put us in a better financial position that we weren't hurting. And we were pretty stable. But I knew that, hey, if something happened to me, what's going to happen with them? So we were overseas. And while we were overseas, I look back and I thank God that, he worked everything out. He knew the end from the beginning. While we were overseas, I just came back from a combat deployment to Afghanistan, the same deployment that I started breaking out with the rashes. Well, the Air Force was downsizing. They were getting rid of 40,000 people. And mind you, now let me backtrack a little bit. Let me tell you what happened. So my wife and I, again, we met in the Air Force. We're both active duty at that time. And I deployed 5 times in the first 6 years that we were married, or I was in the Air Force. And this was deployment number 6. This deployment came right after I spent a year away from my family. At that time, it was just my wife and my daughter. I spent a year away from them in Korea. So we spent a year apart. We reunited in Okinawa, Japan, and we were together for a few months before they sent me away again to Afghanistan. So I got sent again to Afghanistan every single day. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. That's how Afghanistan was. Every single day, I don't know if I'm gonna make it home. And when I did,
so you were in actual combat.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Sir.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
And here's the crazy thing: the day that we found out I was going to Afghanistan was the same day that we found out my wife was pregnant with our 3rd child. So no, our second child. So we found out she's having a baby. I found out I'm leaving. So I'm going for the whole 9 months of her pregnancy. I get back, thank God, 2 weeks before my son was born. So it's a joyous occasion. We're reunited and we're excited. And then I get hit with this news that, we might be getting rid of you because of our budget. So, bro, I was heated.
Yeah.
Heated. But the crazy thing about it is my anger only lasted a short amount of time. We were in a briefing. They brought a bunch of us in a briefing. We're standing in this big room, and they're standing up there telling us what's going to happen to us. And pretty much they're telling us we're going to have to prove that we're worthy to stay in the Air Force because a lot of us are getting kicked out. And, pretty much just breaking the contract we signed. And I was mad for, maybe a couple minutes. But then I just walked out the briefing, and I went to the little, it was like a little bar, like a snack bar across the way. And I just went and got me a little milkshake or a smoothie. And I sat in the lobby. And I just thought about my business that was back in the States. And I was like, dude, this, just me thinking to myself and talking to myself like, dude, you got something that can set you up. But not only you, I'm looking at all of these people in here. We're in a foreign country, and people are about to get kicked out in a foreign country, so it's a crazy situation. But I'm like, you can not only help yourself, but you can help a lot of these people in here. So I sat out there and I just was sitting there smiling, drinking my little smoothie. And when the briefing was over, people literally were like busting through the door, frustrated, kicking stuff. And, some of the people that I knew saw me over there just chilling with a drink, with a smile on my face. And like, dude, how can you smile at a time like this? And I would never forget. I told him, I said, I got a business back home that I know that I'm going to blow up and I can make a lot of money in it and I can help you with it. If you want some information, give me a number and I'll share it with you. So all of this time I'm overseas. We're in Japan. Our company, Team National, is only in the United States. So I don't know how I'm going to make this work in Japan, but I'm going to make it work in Japan. So I actually was sitting there just thinking, and I went through a process where God started speaking to me. And it wasn't like an audible, hey, Rich, this is God. I'm talking to you. But he was speaking to me. The Holy Spirit was speaking to me. And he was telling me, like, I'm going to set you up. You are already set up, but you have to do this. And it's going to not only bless you, but it's going to bless a lot. He told me exactly what's going to happen. At that time, we were pretty much nobodies in our company, but he told me we were going to go all the way to the top and we were going to be successful. Andrew, I could not sleep for days. I literally stayed up 3 days straight, could not sleep. It will be times where I'm driving, I would just break down crying, like, because just overwhelmed with emotion, because like this stuff is being poured into me and I know where it's coming from. And it's just like, it's an overwhelming feeling. But I figured out a way to make this United States only business work in Japan. And we didn't just figure out a way to make it work. We figured out a way to make it boom. So we had about
it must have boomed because I saw your the cover of Success from Home magazine. So it really boomed.
Absolutely. So we had about 90 days before we were coming back to the States. And that 90 days, we just went to work. And our company does cruise promotions. We started winning these promotions. We were at the top of the leaderboard, and we had people in Japan and winning the promotions. And this never happened before. But we only have 90 days to work with these people before I'm out of there. So we just went to work. But when I came back to the States, I did not stop. I didn't slow down. I didn't skip a beat. We just kept working. And I just had the blinders on and just continue to do that. And
That's
I was
amazing.
doing that because I knew I might be out of a job because they were downsizing, but I had no idea that a few months later I would be diagnosed with lupus and my Air Force career really would be over. So God was like lighting that fire and telling me, listen, you got to do this. You got this opportunity. You got to go make it happen. You know,
Right.
Air Force is not going to take care of your family like they promised you they would. So you got to do
Mm,
that. You're the provider. You're the one that people are going to be looking at. So I took
right.
that on myself and I went out and made it happen. And it's crazy because by the time I got medically retired and was going through all that drama, I already replaced my Air Force income with my part-time business from home.
That's amazing. So, I see
Sure.
your wife here in the comments. She left a comment here. She said I was mad at him for doing that. She was referencing when you were in the hospital, you're sick, you're dealing with lupus and kidney failure and waiting on a transplant,
Yeah.
and you're working. You're on your laptop doing Zoom calls and things like that. Um, how did you ease her fears or calm her mind or help her understand, hey, babe, this is something that has to be done? How did you work through that?
Hey, I'm gonna be honest, Andrew, not always the right way. Just being honest, not always the right way because we didn't always see eye to eye on those things. She was like, you need to rest, you need to put your phone down, all of these things. But I knew that this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I enjoy. So if I'm in a hospital bed, but I still have the ability to do something I enjoy, I want to do it. It's not like it's work to me. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying doing this. But she was seeing it as you need to be rested and taking care of yourself. So it was one of those things where we kind of bumped heads a little bit on that because she wanted me to rest and I wanted to still get out there and do what I was doing and doing what I was excited to do.
Can you talk a little bit about mindset? You've got so much information on mindset. I was in the Rich Master class. I saw your
Yes.
presentation there, man. You've got all the tools and strategies. And so one thing that a lot of people deal with when it comes to adversity is it's easier to lay down than to get up and work through it. And
Mm-hmm.
what I heard from you so far is that when you were diagnosed, your fear was short. You took a smile, sent a picture to your family, and kept going. Right?
Oh yeah.
When you had the situation with the military, right? And so you're looking at, my retirement's taken care of. I'm already set, and that was taken away. You
Mm-hmm.
said that your anger was short. And so
Mm-hmm.
how are you able to shake these adverse situations off so quickly and then just move forward? What are some tips that we can use to do the same?
Man, one of the valuable lessons that I learned is the power of our mind. Like our mind is so powerful. It's the most powerful computer on earth. And scientists believe that we only use 10% of that potential. So it's so much unlocked potential up here. And my thing is, how can I unlock as much as possible? Now, I might not be able to get to 100%, but if the average person is using 10% and I get to 15, I'm 5% above the game. If I get to 20, I'm doubling what they're doing. So I started reading and learning about mindset and things that we can do to change our mind because it's one of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the most powerful things that you can do. I have a sign in my office that says, I changed my thinking and it changed my life. And I was sharing with my wife the other day, like I'm always thinking, I'm always learning. Like I love educational stuff. Like I was in TD Jake's International Leadership Summit this morning. I'll be in there again tomorrow. I love learning and growing in knowledge. And I was telling her, like, I look back at a live video that I did last year, and a lot of the stuff that I said in that video, I don't believe the same today. I have a different mindset where some of the stuff that I was proclaiming, I don't feel that same way about it. And I'm thankful for that because I'm always thinking and I'm always learning and I'm always looking for new ways and new perspectives. So I learned the power of our mind, and I want to get the most that I can possibly get out of my mind. And I understand that, there's a saying, mind over matter. If you can control your mind, the rest of it really doesn't matter. If you can get your thoughts right, it controls everything else. Your brain is controlling, your physical, your brain is controlling your emotions, your brain is controlling all of these things. So if we can learn to tap into that power, and I can become emotional, but I'm only emotional for a split second because I realize, you know what, this is not going to help me in this situation. Then my brain starts to get into work of how can I fix this situation? How can I make it better? How can I improve? And that's where most people mess up. Most people mess up is when they have a problem, they think about the problem. They dwell on the problem. And whatever you focus on longer becomes stronger. So instead of them looking for a solution, they're looking at their problems, their issues, and the things that they don't like, and they get more of that because that's what they're focused on. You have to be able to switch your focus on the solution and not the problem. And that's one of the things that I'm good at doing is saying, all right, this is the problem. Forget the problem. What's the solution?
That's good. That's good. There's a book that I love. I recommend it in the men's group. And every man that I talk to, I feel to definitely read it. Um, it's called Outwitting the Devil. Right.
Oh,
And you you got it?
Oh, all right. It's not here. It's downstairs. But that book, I got books everywhere, bro. I thought it was right there on my bookshelf, but it's on my bookshelf downstairs. That book
changed my complete outlook. And so, to everyone, if you're watching, if you catch this video, if I've recommended the book to you and you haven't read it yet, please do, because it's a life changer, most definitely.
I second that with a big stamp of approval. That book is, man, phenomenal.
Yeah. And so when he talks about,
I was getting ready to talk about which book is it, because again, I love reading, but once I'm like, man, absolutely.
So in Outwitting the Devil, he talks about two concepts. One is drifting, how we just go through our life, taking whatever is handed to us, and the other is hypnotic rhythm, meaning that if you go so long drifting, you get into this rhythm that's really hard to break. And for a lot of people, it takes some serious form of adversity, some serious life challenge. It looks like in your situation, I wouldn't say that you were drifting. It sounds like you were goal driven. You were in the military, you had a business you were working on the side, but you weren't doing all that you could do until you had the adversity of Afghanistan and trying to build a business from Japan and getting this diagnosis. That's what really lit that fire. And so now that you're on the other side of it and you can look back with some perspective, how can someone right now who may be comfortable in life, but they know they're not doing all they can, how can they flip that switch without it having to be a negative situation to spark that fire?
Man, that's a great question. And, honestly, I understand that question because I went through it myself. And here's the reality. People are driven and motivated by either two factors. They're either driven and motivated by inspiration or desperation. Don't wait until you're desperate to try to change. Be inspired by somebody else's story. Be inspired by somebody else's transformation. Be inspired by somebody else's success. And realize that if it can happen for that person, it can happen for you. And tap into those things. Like, I'm a firm believer in finding mentors. I don't try to go out there and learn something on my own anymore. I'll pick up a book and read about it, but I know for a fact if I got somebody who's already doing what I want to do and what I want to achieve, and if they're already been successful and they've been successful, if I can tap into their knowledge and learn from their mistakes and their failures and eliminate the failures that they made and just focus on what they did to be successful, is going to help me through that process. So that's one of the key things is, when you are looking at what you want to do in life, don't try to go out there and do it on your own. Don't try to be a one-man show. Get around people who have already succeeded in that area, and it's going to help accelerate your success.
That makes sense. And I feel like as men, that's one of the biggest problems that we have when it comes to our personal growth and just becoming better overall as human beings. A lot of men, we kind of isolate ourselves and we only kind of stick to our family. So it's like, go to work, go home, go to work, go home. And a lot of us don't have that camaraderie or that bond that really strengthens us. We don't use the saying, iron sharpens iron enough.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And so you've built a lot of, you've built teams. How do you forge that relationship among your team so that everyone can grow and, have that upward trajectory?
So my thing is, as a leader, I know I always have to be leading from the front. And I don't always succeed in that, being honest. Sometimes, this is one of the things that I learned about success. And I learned about, leadership in life. There's a saying that says success can never be owned. It can only be rented, and the rent is due every day. So
Yeah.
if you get to that habit of doing a little bit every day in that right direction, you might not get there, overnight, but you're moving in the right direction instead of going in the wrong direction or just sitting back and not doing anything. So when it comes to um us, it's just one of those things that we have to understand, that we have to do these things each and every day. And that's where, sometimes it becomes hard. I tell people, what we do is simple. It's simple to do, but it's simple not to do. And that comes with everything. If you think about, I know you a brother that's in shape. I know you work out, and I know you didn't do that overnight. It took time, and it took effort, and it took you going to the gym and doing reps over and over and over again. It's just doing the same thing over and over and over again to get the process right.
Yeah.
But some people will think that they can just come in there and do it a little bit and they can get to the same level that you're at. And they don't understand that this is a process. This is a journey. This is a marathon. So I try to be realistic when I'm sharing with people. I don't like to, I don't talk a lot about, numbers and stuff like that, because I don't want people to have this false expectation. And I tell people what we do is simple, but it's not easy. The hard part is you controlling your brain, you controlling your emotions, and dealing with yourself. But once you get yourself together, everything else is going to come. So I'm very upfront and honest with people when I share with them. I want to prepare them for the journey that they're going to be on, because it is a journey, it is a process, and it's going to take time. So I don't like to try to sugarcoat it with people. I like to be upfront and honest with people and prepare them for the work, because it is going to take work. But it's just a little bit done day in and day out. You're not going to go to the gym and work out 12 hours one day and, just be super.
Man, you just got it.
Right. Yeah, no, you're going to go to the gym every day or every other day. You're going to get yourself a schedule that you can work with. You're going to get yourself on a meal plan. And I teach people to do that same thing in business. Do a couple income producing activities every day. Read something positive and uplifting. Reach out to some people, build some relationships. Those are things that everybody can do every single day, but you got to do them. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I can't do them for you. So I'm upfront and honest with people, just giving them the blueprint of how to be successful, but also being there to help them when they, slip up a little bit, because I honestly do too. And I needed somebody to help me through that process. So I'm not one of those people that's trying to beat up on you or talk down to you. I understand how it is. Like I said, we didn't have success overnight. So, but I was willing to go through that to get to the outcome that I wanted, because I knew what I wanted. And then when somebody gives me the roadmap that's telling you, this is how you get there, why would I not go down that way if they're already where I want to be?
Now, one thing that happens with a lot of people, they get the roadmap, right? Because I've done some sales training as well. So, this is what you need to do to be successful. This is what works. And so they understand that part. And then we say, kind of blanket statements, generic things like figure out your why, because, that's going to motivate. Yeah. And at this point, we've all heard those things so much that I think they kind of lose their value to an extent. When you wake up every morning, right, the devil is kind of like right there. When I say the devil, I don't mean, some demon on your shoulder, but, just the things that want to keep you from the success that you seek. And so what do you do to get your mind right in the morning? I think like the first hour when you wake up is critical because for me personally, as soon as I wake up, whatever problems I'm dealing with, whatever adversities I'm facing, they're just right at the forefront of my mind. And if you allow it to, that can completely throw off your day. It can completely throw off your mood. And so what does your routine look like for you to be so successful?
So that's one of the key things. And I'm being honest, like our routine is not what it used to be right now. And, we're going through a transition phase in our life. My wife, thank God, she's retiring from the Air Force. So her last day of work was last Thursday. So we're excited because we're going to be both now two stay-at-home parents with young kids and being able to both enjoy time freedom in our lives together. So our lives are changing right now. We're in a transition phase. But during the week, what we do is when we wake up, my wife, she actually wakes up before me. She wasn't an early bird, but she is now. So she wakes up before me. And when I wake up, what we do is we have devotion with our kids. So we sit around in the living room and I use my Bible app and I put it on a TV and we go through a series of devotions and our family goes through it together. We go through the devotion, we all pray, and then we say an affirmation. Our kids have an affirmation and me and my wife have an affirmation. So our kids say their affirmation, and then we say our affirmation, and then we go about our day getting ready to, get the day started.
How much do you think that really sets you on track, the affirmations? I know a lot of people, saying use that. Have you seen any difference in your children because of it? What do you attribute to the affirmation
Oh,
process?
absolutely. So when I first got introduced to business and entrepreneurship, I never was a reader. Like in school, I wouldn't read for homework or none of that stuff. I hated reading because
Right.
I didn't know all the jewels that were in there. So when I found my business, I found entrepreneurship, I kept on hearing about books, just like you recommended a book. And I'm the type that when somebody's successful and they tell me, hey, this is how I got there, why would I not listen to them? So I started reading these books, and I started figuring out the pattern of, all these successful people talking about positive affirmations. And I'm like, at first I was like, man, that's corny. I ain't doing that. I ain't about to be in a mirror talking to myself. Like, what I look like? But then it just kept on showing up in the books, like positive affirmations. So when I started doing it, it did not happen right away. But when I started doing positive affirmations, it wasn't long after that what I was affirming really started happening. Like I saw it happen. I saw it before my eyes. I saw us not succeeding in our business. I saw us struggling and failing over and over again. And I would dwell on that. I would dwell on that failure. So when I dwell on it, I would get more of it. But when I started doing the positive affirmations, no matter what was going on, I'm speaking life over the situation. No matter what was going on, I'm speaking positive, and I'm not speaking like it's gonna happen. I'm speaking it as it already has happened. So again, tapping into that subconscious brain, whatever you tell yourself, if you continue to tell yourself something, no matter what it is, your subconscious brain is going to believe it. It doesn't know if you're joking or we're telling the truth. That's why it's important to watch our words. So once you start getting in that habit of speaking well over yourself and speaking life over yourself and your business and your team, it won't take long before those seeds that you plant start to develop fruit. And when I started to see the fruit, I'm like, oh, I tapped into something. So I tell people now, you got to get on these positive affirmations. It's going to change the way that you think. And again, that's a big part of our success or our failure in every aspect of life.
Yeah, and I think that the way affirmations work, because it's something that I started maybe a couple of years back, and I do a lot of reading and things like that. I'm a person that I have a pretty even temperament.
Mhm.
But when you have that even temperament, of course, that's an equilibrium. So I have my highs and my lows.
Yeah.
And what I found, the more that I educate myself and I pour into myself through reading and through affirmations, whenever I hit those lows are getting higher, right? I
Yep.
don't go with low now because it's hard to, like, once you have all this good positive information flowing in your brain, as soon as that low comes, a scripture will pop up or something that you read in a
Yeah.
book will pop up. And so if you're not constantly programming yourself in that way, you just really don't have anything to draw from. And so I like that. I like the affirmations.
Part of our affirmations is all setbacks are temporary. All
That's a
setbacks,
good one.
all of them. And that's
Yeah.
true. If you think about it, all setbacks are temporary. And Les Brown says something. I love Les Brown. He says a setback is just a setup for a comeback. And if you understand that, everybody loves the underdog story too. So I
Yeah.
understand that. And when I go through these setbacks, I just look at, how I'm going to come back and how I'm going to bounce back, and that underdog story coming out on top, no matter what life throws at you. It's just something about those people that no matter what life throws at them, God always got their back, and they always seem to shine throughout that process. You can't help but love people like that. So you have
Right.
to make yourself feel like you're that person. Make yourself feel that you are that guy. And I do that. I know that I'm one of God's favorites, and I know that He looks out for me. And I know that no matter what I go through, I'm not going through it alone. And I know it's only temporary because joy comes in the morning. So
Man.
it's
So
you
this is
gotta be able to do it.
it's really beautiful to me. So now that I think about it, with you and your wife are both around 40, under 40. You don't
Yeah,
have to reveal your age, but for
I'm
you
proud.
both to be,
A lot of people don't make it there.
yeah, but to be in a position at such a young age where you're both semi-retired, like you have a business that's pretty much able to run itself. Income isn't a big concern, things like that. What type of fears do you have at this point? And the reason I asked that, I was having a conversation with my mentor friend earlier today, and we were talking about people having a fear of failure versus a fear of success. And
Yeah.
he helped me to understand that actually more people are afraid of success than failure.
Yep.
It didn't make sense at first, but when we went further into it, he said the reason is because we all innately understand that to become successful, there's going to be some things that we're comfortable with that we have to let go.
Oh
And we
yeah.
understand subconsciously that we're going to have to go through the fire to come out on the other side new. And
Yeah.
so, from where you are now, having gone through that, is there any fear at that level of success? Is the fear, falling backwards, losing something, or what does that feel like?
Man, honestly, like I don't even think about fears. Like, and my wife would tell you, like, I'm the type that I don't let things bother me. And she doesn't like it all the time because it'd be something that's driving her crazy. And she
Right.
like, man, you don't even care. It's not that I don't care. It's I'm not gonna let this stuff stress me out. Like I love my peace. Like I'm in love with my peace. So when it comes to like fear and stuff like that, I can't even honestly think of a fear because I understand again the power of my mind. I understand that fear is using your imagination the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? Fear is not even real. Like we're born with two fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Babies have those two fears at birth. So the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. All these other fears we're taught. We're taught as a kid. They say, "Oh, don't touch that. Oh, don't go over there. Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't start a business. Businesses fail. Oh,
Right.
you know
Right.
what? That's hard. Nobody, no, just get a job, get a safe, secure job with business. We're taught all of these fears. But when you really break down what fear is false evidence appearing real. That's what fear is. It's not even real stuff. It's stuff that may happen, and you're wasting good brain power worried about something that may not ever happen instead of using that brain power to focus on what you do want to happen. So we'll go through bad situations or character building situations, but I'm always looking for a lesson in everything. I know there's a lesson in it. So it's like, what can I learn from this? I'm not going to dwell on the stuff that's hurting me or whatever that case may be. I'm going to look for the lesson and I'm going to progress through that. So I honestly, people talk about, having no fear. Like I face death. I'm not afraid to die. I don't want to die anytime soon, but I know, we all are going to get there. Man, you had this conversation, what I'm saying? We were talking about life insurance. That's one of the things. And I'll just, throw a shameless plug for Andrew, man. This brother is a phenomenal person. When I met him, I heard him speak about life insurance, and I heard the passion in his voice, and I heard the caring, not the type that, I just want to go out and make money and sell you something that you don't need or something that I know I'm going to make more money off if I sell you this product. He kind of broke it down and let us understand every single aspect of it. And that resonated with me. And I reached out to him immediately afterwards and, just kind of share that with him. But we had the conversation. I know, and I hate to bring it to us, we all are going to die eventually. One of these days, we ain't going to live forever. So I understand that's a process. But again, it goes back to my faith and having faith that I know to be absent from the body is be present with the Lord. So I talked to my family because we dealt with death. I had a older brother that passed away. My father passed away, and it was, difficult times. And I tell them it's hard on us who are still here, but they in a better place. They better off. So I don't think of death the same way as I used to before I faced it. So I don't fear death. I speak all the time. That's the biggest fear that everybody has is public speaking. And I do that all the time. So I'm not afraid of that. So I like roller coasters. I really, I'm not the type that's really fearful because I understand if I'm afraid of something, I'm just using my imagination in the wrong way. So I'd rather focus that energy on figuring out what I want and how do I get what I want.
Man, I love it. I love it, bro. So, can you speak to the person who is waiting for perfection? And so, you built your business laying on your back in a hospital with a death sentence, right? You built it from overseas in a country that your company wasn't even in. And the average person would have said, well, when I get back to the States and when I start feeling better and when this changes and when this happens, then I'm going to. And so can you speak to that person about getting started before things are perfect?
Let me turn this around and let y'all see that. You talking about the average person. I look at that all the time. I refuse to be average. And I think about that. You cannot let these situations and stuff stop you from going out there and just doing something. And I'll be honest, I deal with that, like trying to make everything perfect. I'm not a perfectionist, but sometimes I overthink stuff because I'm trying to make sure everything is right. And when I overthink it, I'm not taking action. And that's something I struggle with to this day. And it's one of those things where I realize that if you just go out there and do it, you're going to learn more by just thinking about doing it and thinking about doing it. You're going to have the better outcome. And yes, you may fall, you may fail, but that's a part of the process. That's a part of success. You're not going to experience success without failure. So when you're sitting back and you're waiting for the perfect time to start your business, you're waiting for the perfect time to do this, you're waiting for the perfect time to do that. There are people right now today taking action, passing you up, because you sit back thinking about it and waiting on it. And there's never going to be a perfect time. It's always going to be situations and things that are going on. And you have to realize that and just say, you know what, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to figure out how to make it work and just continue to go through that process. So if you're one of those people that are trying to wait till everything is perfect, or wait till the timing is right, or you get all your ducks in a row, my mentor says ducks don't get in a row. You know what I'm saying? Just go out there. They all over the place. Just go out there and just take the action and just continue to do it. So don't wait until the perfect time, because there is no such thing as a perfect time.
Never a perfect time. Never, man. Like if it isn't one thing, it's another. Like I said, your health goes down, you get that in line, then you're moving here, and then there's a new kid coming, and then we have
a lot of life. Life happens to all of us.
Right. And then so to speak to your ability to push through, we had the pandemic last year, and that hurt a lot of people, myself included. It hit me pretty hard just because of the nature of my business and how I had built it. Was field sales. And so I was actually going into homes, dealing with seniors primarily. And so that got completely cut out because we couldn't have appointments. And so I had to immediately figure out how to, attract people online. And it was a huge headache. Barely made it through full transparency. And so you and your family started a business during the pandemic. And so can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, we were going through the pandemic like everybody else is, not knowing how long it's going to last, not knowing, day to day, we all kind of, our world got turned upside down. But of course, we're at home with each other now. We have a lot more time, and I love being with my family. And I'm like, all right, how can we make this time productive? I don't want to be, just sitting around here not doing anything. So I started I don't even know how I found it, but I found a way I do know how I found it. So when I was looking for a kidney transplant, I created a post on Facebook to help get the word out. And I started sharing that. My friends started sharing it, and, like 1,500 people shared that post. And I did something stupid. I'm a big fight fan. I like boxing and UFC, and UFC was on.
Me too.
Yeah, so I did something stupid. UFC was on, and I went live on Facebook and was showing people me watching the fight. So they shut down my Facebook account. I went to Facebook jail for 30 days. Now, I didn't know I had a 30-day sentence. I just know I can't get back on Facebook, and I'm trying to get a kidney. And they shut down my whole business. And when they shut down my account, nobody else can share that post. Like, the post disappeared, like I never existed. So I'm like, oh man, so what am I gonna do? So instead of me, again, complaining and crying about me doing something stupid, I took that same picture and I put it on a t-shirt. And I started selling the t-shirts to people. And I figured out, man, that wasn't even hard to create that t-shirt and put it on a platform and sell it. Now, man, I could teach my kids how to do this. So that's what I did. I started teaching my kids and my wife, like, all right, this is how you design a shirt. This is how you copy it and paste it to the site where they make the t-shirts. And we just started a t-shirt business that has, merch now. We got masks now. We actually got pants and leggings and socks and mugs and all kind of stuff now. But it was just because of going through that situation, and I made that shirt. And I'm like, that wasn't that hard. Anybody can do this. So we did create another stream of income for my family that is mainly for the kids and to help them to start learning entrepreneurship, but also learn how to go out there and make money instead of just being a consumer, learn how to be a creator.
That's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful thing. Starting the children early, like it makes all the difference in the world as far as affecting their mindset, and really shaping the type of adults that they'll be. And so, here on Elevated Men, we talk about fatherhood a lot. And man, you're a great man. You take care of your family. When you had the biggest adversity and the biggest challenges in front of you, your first thought was, "Let me take care of my family," which is what a man should do. Um,
Absolutely.
when it comes to fatherhood, for a man who's watching this and he's like, man, this brother's really been through it. Um, you know, what advice can you give for a father who may be struggling with the financial aspect of being a man, being a provider? And so here's one thing that really comes up a lot is there has to be a balance between the time that we spend making provisions for the family, but we can't let that get to a point where we don't spend any time with the family. And
Oh yeah.
so I know now you're in a different space, but when you were in the fire, how did you make that balance work?
My wife is on here and she'll tell you that
Mm,
that I often failed at that part because she'll tell you I'm the type that I'm like laser focused. When I put my mind on a goal and I say I'm gonna go get it, I'm gonna go get it. And she
mm,
noticed that early in our marriage because when I was in the Air Force and I would study for a promotion, I would lock myself in my office and I would just study in my office for hours and hours. And she got to take care of whatever she got to take care of. She got the baby. I'm in here and I'm locked in. I'm laser focused. And I would do that same thing in the business. And I was talking to one of my friends today, and him and his wife are similar situation. And I was kind of sharing with him how me and my wife are really opposites.
okay.
And how her being able to pull me back in and let me know, hey, bro, all right, we appreciate you going out and providing for us, but we also appreciate your presence here. So
Yeah,
I had to, realize that. And I thank God for my wife because she had to reel me in and let me know, like, listen, we need you too. You're out here, you're pouring into all of these other people, you're serving all of these other people. You need to serve and pour into your family the same way. And I still, to this day, we still, she still has to reel me back in and say, all right, bro, come on, let's pour into these kids. Let's, pour into our marriage the same way that you pour into the business. So what I learned is instead of, because there are going to be some times where it's going to be, and to be honest, most of the time it's going to be unbalanced, but you have to find that harmony. And that's one thing that
okay.
we learn to look for versus balance, where it's not, because it's not going to always be equal. There's going to be times where the family has to take priority and the business has to take a back seat. And there's going to be times where, you might go through, a pandemic or your own crisis where you need to focus on the financial aspect to get it where it needs to be. And the family, just having that mindset to talk to the family and let them know what's going on and say, listen, daddy has to focus on the business for a little while. Daddy, might be traveling or might be doing this and that. But what we learned to do is attach a sacrifice to a reward. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go out and I must be spending a lot of time in my business in the next 30, 90 days. But I tell my kids, after this 90 days, what do you guys want to do? What's a trip that you want to take? What's a reward that you want to get? Our kids love to travel. They love staying at hotels. They love cruises. So if I can incentivize them for allowing me to go out and work and do what I need to do, it's like the best of both worlds because they understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And at the
Yeah.
same time, it's a reward at the end of it.
One thing you've referenced your wife, a couple of times, and I can tell you love her dearly. Anytime we've talked,
I wouldn't be who I am without her.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. My question, so for men who may be single, so there are younger men that kind of tune in and they're in the process of building their life. What qualities did you look for you to know that she was the one and that she would be as supportive as she's been through your journey?
So that's funny you asked that question. We started off as friends. We met while we were in tech school, and we both were at the time in long distance relationships, and we just were friends, became friends, and really good friends, and kept in touch. And beginning as friends was one of the best things that we can do because it was like getting to know the real person. So it's not like because when you're in a relationship, you're trying to show your best side. When you're in a relationship the beginning of the relationship, all you're getting is the highlights. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
we both trying to put our best foot forward and show, you know, all of our potential or whatever. But we met as friends, so it wasn't like I'm not trying to win her over, she's not trying to win me over. We're just, you know, cool. So once our relationship kind of changed and we started, and we were long distance. I was in Florida, she was in South Carolina when we started, you know, having feelings for each other and moving to being in a relationship. And it was just, it was certain things about my wife, qualities that I knew. Number one, she was a woman of God. She was a woman that encouraged me to be a better man. That was one of I would say that's the number one quality that attracted me to her, is she was able to see stuff in me that I didn't see, and she was able to bring it out of me. So when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, she'll be the one that's asking me, and she was like, "Hey, you go to church this week? You know, you reading your Bible, you paying your tithes, you know, stuff like that." And in my mind, I'm like, all right, I don't want to be lying to her, so I need to step up and do these things. So that made me
That accountability.
Exactly.
Okay.
Made me want to step up and be that person that she was looking for, and to be that person that can be, you know, who she needed in her life. So when you find somebody that is not going to just settle for who you are right now, but see your potential and see what you can be, you know, that's that quality. You want somebody that's going to motivate you to do better, and somebody that you can motivate to do better, and y'all can work together as you grow. So that was one of the things about my wife. I picked that up real early in our relationship, that, you know, I'm a better person because I'm around her.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So there's a couple concepts that we give young men here at Elevating Men. I want to run through those two concepts, and I want to get your opinion and your input and see if there's anything that we can tweak, because we really want to affect the next generation and also men who are trying to improve their lives. And so, one, I feel like a lot of young men don't really understand time. It's never really broken down to us, right? We have a mortality.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's like 79 years, 79 to 80 years that God gives the average person on earth, right? And
Mm.
so what I do is I break that into 4 quarters. So we just call it the 4 quarters of life.
Mm.
In the first quarter, that's kind of like your controlled discovery phase. And so because you're, you know, under 18, you're not a legal adult, you can't really do much, right? But during that time, we suggest that you explore as much as you can within that controlled environment, and do whatever you can to not make any major mistakes that can affect you long term. So, you know,
Mm.
no legal trouble, you know, none of those sorts of things. Just figure out what you love and what you're passionate about from 0 to 20, right? From
Mm-hmm.
20 to 40, we look at that as the time where, you know, I kind of just say like rumble, young man, rumble. That's where you like really could be going 100% laser focused on your income, and building some type of financial security for yourself, so that when you start a family, you're not starting at a deficit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you actually, when you find that wife, you have something to bring her into, because a wife's job is to beautify what's already there. And so as a
Yeah.
man, you have to lay some sort of foundation and give her something to work with. And so we
Exactly.
suggest that men don't really look at marriage and long-term relationships until they're closer to 30, so that they actually have that foundation set and they're in a
Mm-hmm.
better state of mind, right?
Yeah.
And then 40 to 60, we say that if you've done 20 to 40 right, you've gone hard on your income, you found a good wife, you know, you're established, then from 40 to 60, you can kind of start working on your purpose. And so, you know, whether that be like a nonprofit or something like you have going on with Growing to Greatness, something where
Mm-hmm.
you're giving back, giving of yourself, because income isn't a problem anymore. And then from 60 to 80, we look at that as just like philanthropy, you know, looking back at everything that you've built, and just kind of enjoying those final years. And so that's the 4 quarters of life. The
Man, I
other
love
part of it, thank you. The other part of it is a system that we call swag. And so, you know, young men, they want to have swag, right?
uh,
And so we've made that an acronym. And so the S stands for systems, because we believe that all men need to have some type of system for their life, a program. Things need to be spelled out. You know, these are my goals. This is what I do every day. This is who I am. This is my system for life.
mm-hmm.
W is for wealth building, because as a man, of course, if you don't work, you don't eat, and you should be looking to build financial security for yourself and for your family. The A is for appeal. And so the A, and it's not about, looks or anything superficial, but it's about the way that you carry yourself and the way that you interact with others, the way that you dress, the way that you make eye contact and things like that, because that's what garners your respect as a man. And a lot of young boys just really aren't taught that. And then the G is for growth, and also spiritual grounding. So you should always be looking to grow. You should always be looking to improve. But at the same time, you have to stay grounded and relatable, to be able to be successful. And so those are the two tenets that we really teach here at Elevated Men. And so with you being a, John Maxwell certified, coach and trainer, I know you've helped a lot of people. So for young men, how do you feel about those two concepts?
I love it. I love it. And I wish, and that's one thing about it. That's another thing that we started growing to greatness to help us as young people get some of this information and knowledge that we got as adults. We're getting this stuff, in our second and third quarter. If we would have got it in our first quarter, of course, we will be well better off than we are. So I love what you're doing. And I love those concepts because I never heard it broken down like that. And I'm a studier, I'm a student, and that's something that I wrote down. I'm like, I love it because it gives us a game plan. It gives us a system. You talked about systems, and systems make the world go round. If you think about it, pretty much everything that we do is a system. This platform that we're on right now is a system, both StreamYard and Facebook. And that's really what we're doing to creating these systems. Wealth building is important. And I wish I would have learned about this earlier because, again, this knowledge that I'm getting now that I'm past my second quarter. I'm already in the third quarter, man. I mean, we're doing all right. But my mindset, my thought process is I could always be doing better. And my thing is I might not get this information. I got it in the fourth quarter or the third quarter. I'm going to make sure to help somebody else get it in the first quarter. So there we go. I love that aspect, and I already know I can tell by this we're gonna be working together because I love what you're talking about with Elevated Man, and I love being a part of things like that. And that wealth building is big. Appeal, how you carry yourself. I'm gonna be honest, man. Us as black men, we have to hold each other accountable. We have to get out there and grab a hold of these young brothers and steer them in the right direction. Because, man, it's crazy. I'm looking at myself now because I remember how I was when I was a teenager and stuff like that. But, now it's just wow. It's out of control. Like I look at these dudes running around and they got a belt on and the belt is like on their knees. Like literally.
So what's the point of the belt?
Like, dude, what are you doing? Take off them little stupid skinny jeans, pull your pants up, carry yourself like a man. I learned to dress like you want to be addressed. And I'm not the suit and tie type of dude no more. Like I used to wear suit and ties, but I'm more comfortable in a t-shirt. So I wear t-shirts more than I go to church like this now. I used to, be suited and booted, but I like being, laid back and just casual now. So, but at the same time, I represent something in everything that I put on. So that's why another reason I wanted to create clothes so I could, express myself through that. But that's important to teach our young men how to carry themselves. Growth, again, growing to greatness. That's what we're about. And that spiritual grounded is super important because if we get our spirit man right, it's going to help every other aspect of our life. But if our spirit man isn't right, it's going to hurt every other aspect of our life. So it's a very powerful component. And a lot of times we neglect that and think that, money's making us successful or status or all these things. But the truth be told, if you don't have God in your life and you don't have that purpose, you can have all the money in the world and still be a failure. And that's one thing that I realized, that I don't want to have all of this success in the world and, my kids not know who I am. Or I don't want to have all this success in the world and, me and my wife can't get along. I don't want to have all this success in the world and, I'm on my way to hell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to be that well-rounded person where, I don't have to be a billionaire, but I might get there. You know what I'm saying? I might just.
No wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I desire wealth and I don't think it's anything wrong with it. And I don't think it should be anything wrong with it. A lot of times we get taught so much wrong stuff. Again, we have to change the way that we think. But I posted today, Deuteronomy 8:18, God gives us the ability to get wealth. So if our blessings are biblical, and I'll argue with anybody that says anything different. If I'm a good person and I become wealthy, you talk about, philanthropy, you talk about purpose, I can do more good with that money that I got. If I'm a bad person, you know what I'm saying? That's the same thing. So I look at money being amoral. You can do good with it. You can do bad with it. More good people with money is going to do more good in the world. So that's what I'm about. Yeah, but I love the 4 quarters. I love the swag. I love it.
Man, I enjoy talking to you, brother. I want to be respectful of your time, so we're getting ready to wrap this up. But I had to ask you this because you're in the work from home space, and you've been wildly successful enough for even you and your wife to be featured on the cover of a Success from Home magazine. And so I know that work from home is usually like a transitional situation for most people. Maybe they've been in a career. They're in their 30s or 40s. They realize they aren't making enough income, and they're trying to supplement that. That's what I usually see in the work from home space. And so, can you speak to the person who may feel like, I'm too old to start something new, or my time has passed, or according to the 4 quarters of life? Well, I'm in quarter 3. And I've never really figured out, quarter 2. And so, can you just kind of speak to that? Because one thing that I try to think about, you see a lot of stories of people becoming wealthy in a very short amount of time. Like 3 to 5 years, 2 to 5 years can really change a person's life. And so 2 to 5 years at 20 is the same 2 to 5 years at 40. But I think a lot of people kind of miss that point. And so can you just speak to the fear of being too old to get started?
Absolutely. I would just encourage you, don't let age be your cage. If you think about it, there's a lot of successful people that achieve that success later in life. Samuel L. Jackson, one of my favorite actors. This dude didn't start acting. I think he was in his 40s when he got his first role. Colonel Sanders. Yeah, I think his first role was in is either Jungle Fever or Coming to America. I think it was Jungle Fever. He was playing a crackhead, and Samuel L. Jackson had a crack problem back in the day. So that I look at stories like that, like somebody to overcome a crack addiction. You know what I'm saying? To be one of the most successful actors in history. And look at Colonel. KFC when he was in his 60s. Ray Kroc, the McDonald's, the guys that founded McDonald's, they were older when they got that. A lot of times, and this is the society that we live in, they have these, we all have these social media influencers or whatever the case may be. And you see these young people with all of this, stuff that they're showing off on social media. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not. But we have a problem in society now that everybody wants this overnight success. We have this microwave society and all of this stuff. But understand, you can have success in a relatively short amount of time, but it's about putting in that work. And like you said, you can put in that work when you're 20 to 22 or 20 to 25, or it could be 40 to 45, 50 to 55. You can have success in your 70s and 80s, as long as you don't allow your age to be your cage and hold you back. Again, we're holding ourselves back. We have so much unlocked potential, and there is not a shortage of opportunities in America. There are so many different ways to get money right now. All there is a shortage of people who are willing to act on it and be courageous enough to go out there, step outside their comfort zone, and do something that they're not used to doing, and do something different. But if you want different, you have to do different. So don't feel like, oh, I'm too old to do this or I'm too old to do that, because you're setting yourself up for failure. Figure out a way to make it happen. And it's never too late. If you still have warm blood running through your veins, and oxygen coming out your mouth and nose, God's not through with you yet. He has something else for you. He has a purpose and a plan for your life, and you just have to tap into that. And you never know when your breakthrough is going to come. So I encourage people, don't let people with these overnight success stories and all of these young entrepreneurs, and I salute them, and I love seeing young people do good. Young people, out there and excel and do that. But, that don't take away from what you can do at your age. So understand that it's is no set age for success. You can achieve the success that you want at any point in your life.
Bro, you got the gems, man. You got the gems. How can someone who may, need some advice, coaching, sales training, looking for an opportunity, how do they get in contact with you?
Man, Facebook is a good way to get in contact with me. Hit me up on Facebook, Rich Thames. I'm Rich Thames everywhere on IG and YouTube or whatever, but Facebook would be the best way to get a hold of me. I use Facebook more than I use anything else. And I love helping people. I love sharing what I learn with people. And if I can help you in any way, don't hesitate. This is, a passion. And I love the fact that my passion allows me to help other people, because somebody did it for me. Somebody came along and shared their knowledge and their wisdom with me and completely changed my life forever. And I'm forever grateful. So all I do on a day-to-day basis is pay it forward. And it's exciting because you get to actually see that. You see somebody's life change before your eyes, and you know that you had a small part to play in that. It's very, very rewarding. So I love that. So reach out to me if I can help you.
Beautiful. And then here on Elevating Men, anytime I have a guest on, I think it's important to uplift you. I think you're a great man. You personally, we've talked off camera. I love what you're doing as far as your family, what you're doing with your business. It's all commendable.
Okay.
The business that you're in, we talked about the success that you've had, but we haven't said anything about the business. So exactly what is it that you do, and what is the opportunity?
Awesome. So I'm with Team National, and Team National, they're a multi-million-dollar debt-free company. And our concept is super simple. We offer a way for people to save money on the things that you buy anyway. We have a membership, very affordable. Anybody can afford it. And that membership is going to help you tap into the buying power of a Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company. So we all spend money. We spend money, each and every day. We spend money most of the time at the same places. And our network allows us to either get a better deal to make our money go further, or get money back into our pocket when we spend them at the same stores that everybody else is spending them at. So I always tell people what we do is we get paid to do what everybody else does for free. And in turn, we share the opportunity with other people. We help them see and help them take advantage of it. And we're rewarded for helping them be successful. So that's, again, a like byproduct. I love helping people. Now, if I can get paid to help somebody, that's even better, because some of the best advice that I ever got was find out what you love to do, then find somebody to pay you to do it. So it's the best of both worlds, where I'm able to not only, help you cut your expenses and put more money back into your pocket, but also help you create an extra stream of income just by sharing the information. And it's a simple process. Like I said, we've done it all over the world, made it successful, and helped other people be successful. So again, I'm one of the type of people that, and I see this a lot of people will have that self-doubt. We have these self-limiting beliefs that tell us, oh, Rich can be successful, but I can't. Oh, yes, you can.
Right.
Change the way you think, though, because if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So you have to change that. And, a lot of people talk themselves out of success, but start talking yourself into success, telling yourself why you're qualified, telling yourself why you can do it, tell yourself why you can be successful. And I help people get that mindset shift, because that's really what it takes. And once you get that mindset shift and you back it with some, just income producing activities, and again, little things done day in and day out, but it makes a big difference compounded over time. So, yeah.
There's a lot of success in the network marketing industry, and I hate that it has the stigma that it does, especially in our community. People want to yell scam immediately, and things like that. And I think we miss out on so many opportunities, even when it comes to like the stock market or Bitcoin, or all of these things fly right under our radar because we're afraid and we consider everything a scam, and we just really miss out on so many opportunities. And so really just my last question before we wrap up, can you just speak to the fear of the home-based business industry and just kind of help to alleviate that for some people? One thing that I do to try to help people understand it is affiliate programs, right?
Yeah.
And so you could go to walmart.com, you can become an affiliate. And so when you post that TV that you bought, your kids for Christmas, and someone clicks on the link, Walmart will pay you. All the major companies do it, but for some reason, there's just still this, I'm afraid of a scam, and, I don't want to talk to anybody. And so can you speak to that just a little bit?
Man, absolutely. Because I honestly almost missed it because I was that guy. You know, I seen a lot of home-based business. Yeah, I seen a lot of presentations, and sometimes people don't do it right. And we're all people. We're all flawed. So, you know, my experience was bad experiences. People, you know, got angry because I didn't want to partner with them, and you know, things like that. And I'm like, man, this person's supposed to be my friend. So I was the type. I was like, man, I'll never do network marketing. Don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear it. So when we got the phone call, I told him no. I didn't even go see it. I said I don't want anything to do with it. But I think again, my wife went without me. She got the information and she came back and convinced me to watch it. Again, that goes back to having that partner, you know, total opposite.
So she wasn't Eve. She didn't bring you the apple and she brought you the business.
She brought me the bag, baby. She brought me the bag. Like this is it right here, Rich. You need to look at this. And she, you know, she was adamant about it. Like, you know, you can say no if you want. And I tell people that the same thing. I say, look at what we got. You could tell them, you could tell me no if you want to. I don't care if you tell me no, because I already know what I have. I know what it can do for me. I know what it's done for me, and I know what it can do for others. So I tell people, you know, whether you join me or not, it's not going to make a difference for me, but it might make all the difference in the world to you. So at least look at the information, get the details, and then make an informed decision whether you want to move forward or not. So I almost missed it. So I know how it is. So and now I kind of like have a little toss up because I'm in between like, yo, I want you to see it so bad and I want you to understand it, because once you understand it, you know you can't lose. But at the same time, I don't want to pressure people or anything like that. So I kind of have to just kind of play my cards right. But I'll tell you, there's still scams out there and you have to be careful. So skepticism is good. Skepticism is a good thing, but be skeptical and get the facts, get the details. Ask questions, try to pick it apart, whatever you're being presented with, because that's what I did. And I tried to pick it apart and I had a bunch of questions. And once I got my questions answered, I'm like, this actually makes sense. And I know if I'm super skeptical and it makes sense to me, it's probably going to make sense to others. So that's what kind of let down my guard, because I'm like, well, the way I looked at it, I'm like, this membership is going to cost me X amount of dollars. Once I save X amount of dollars, even if I never make a dollar, I'm on top. You know, I came out and agreed. And that's what I show people, because I guarantee you're going to save way more than it costs you. There's no way around it. The only way you won't is if you don't use it. So even if you don't make money, you're going to make money on the back end because you're going to get paid for the stuff you're doing anyway. So once you see that and you understand it, you know, that's the thing. But the hardest part that we deal with is getting people to sit down and take a look and get the information, because they got this stigma. Oh, it's a pyramid scheme. It's this, is that. Here's the reality. The reason why the rich get richer and the broke stay broke is because broke people think every opportunity is a scam. There's scams out there, but there are amazing opportunities out there too. So you got to be wise enough to say, let me get the details for myself, and be smart enough to say, you know, if it's not for me, I could say it's not for me, but let me at least investigate and figure out what's going on, because man, it's a good time. Like now, right now, I believe that in this season that we're in, people, and I predicted it when the pandemic hit. I did a live video. I can go back and show you during that live video. I said that this is going to be a time where there's going to be people that be sitting still and waiting for it to end, and they're going to miss the boat. But they're going to be people that take action, and their lives are going to forever be changed, because what we're experiencing right now is a transformation of wealth. You see it if you pay attention. There's tons of people. I'm so excited to see so many young Black people investing now. I'm so excited to see that, because again, you know, we're like, oh, the stock market is a scam. You might as well gamble your money. It's not a scam. Again, it's a system. If you learn how the system works, and you can make money in this area and have your money making money for you. So we have to take off of these old eyes to think that, you know, because our uncle or our brother's cousin or whoever the case may be got scammed out of their money years ago, that this is the same thing. Be smart enough to get the details for yourself and figure out for yourself if this is an opportunity for you, because honestly, everything is not for everybody either. So if it aligns with your purpose and your calling and you feel that it's something you can do, but there's so many opportunities out there, there's no excuse for us not to be making money. And it's stuff that you can do for free, like the t-shirt business. It will not cost you a dime to start a t-shirt business. You can do it absolutely free. So it's ways out there for people to make money, but home-based business is I mean, I love it because it gives you so many different aspects. There's 420 something tax deductions that we get as business owners that you don't get as an employee, and you get
Right.
them as a home-based business owner. You can write off your business. So you're paying for a business, but you write off all of it. There's no way for you to lose when you understand it. So
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, if anyone's looking for an opportunity, I highly suggest, getting with Rich. He has the proof, to back up his claims. He's been successful, and so if you need a good guide or a mentor through the home-based business arena, he's definitely a guy. You also want to check out Growing to Greatness. So I don't believe, did you give the website? What's the website for Growing to Greatness?
So growingtogreatness.com.
I'll put that in here.
So growing the number 2 greatness.com.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments here for you.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, Rich, I appreciate you taking out your time this evening. I know you're a busy brother. There's a lot of things you could be doing, and so the fact that you were able to take a pause and say, "Hey, let me speak to Andrew's audience a little bit," I'm definitely grateful for that. I really appreciate you, brother.
I'm grateful for you, brother. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and like I said, I'm looking forward to working with you and elevating, man, because I love what you're doing. I love the 4 quarters. I love the swag. And again, we're talking about iron sharpening iron. We need more platforms like this. We need more brothers coming together and encouraging each other and being there. Like you said, us as men, a lot of times we hold stuff in, and that's the reason we have these health issues, because we don't talk about what we're going through. We go through a lot, and as men, we hold that stuff in, and we like, oh, I'm the man, I got to deal with it, I got to be strong. But we all out here trying to be strong on our own, and we're so much more powerful together. So, man, I salute you, brother. I love what you're doing. I'm looking forward to, us working together in the future, and going out there and sharing and helping, as many people as we can.
Most definitely. We have a men's panel that we do on Mondays, and so there's a group of guys that we get together and we have some great conversations, and so I'll definitely invite you in on that. But again, brother, I appreciate you. And check out his podcast, 2 Guys, 6 Kidneys. Where can they watch that?
Yep. So we're going to be on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, Rich Thames, you'll see it on there. You can go on 2 Guys, 6 Kidneys and click on that link, and you'll get all the details. We do it on StreamYard too. We do it between my personal page and our affiliate program, which is Urban Health Media Outreach. So we have sometimes it'll be on my page, sometimes it'll be on their page. So just click on the link, 2 Guys, 6 Kidneys, and you'll get the details.
Follow this brother. Follow him, people. Follow him. Any last words? We talked about a lot of different things, but what's at the top of your mind just to leave with the audience? Man,
I'm gonna just give you your jewels, man. Give you your flowers. I appreciate you. This is an awesome platform, and again, for the knowledge that you share with people, I encourage people, if you don't know who Andrew or AL is, tap into what he does. He's helping us set up generational wealth, and this is something, like I said, I'm always learning and growing. When I heard him talk on our Rich Masterclass, and I heard him speak and the information that he shared, I'm like, this is a piece of the puzzle that we need to be having in place. If you don't have life insurance in place, you're missing a huge piece of creating generational wealth. And again, that's one of the things that our culture, our community is lacking in. We'll spend time, playing lotto and doing all kind of other crazy stuff to make money. And I don't play lotto. I'm not a big gambler. I do. I invest a lot, but I'm not a gambler. And the thing about it is we waste all of this money playing the lottery, and your chances of hitting the lottery is slim to none. And we don't have life insurance in place, and it's so affordable. I didn't even know how affordable it was, but it's so affordable. And our reality is we all gonna hit. We all gonna check up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I tell people, even Jesus, Jesus, he was raised from the dead, but he still went to a tomb at some point.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Like, we ain't gonna get out of this world without it. You can do something that's very, very inexpensive to put something in place that your generations can pass on. Don't be one of those people that say, oh, I had to get it out the mud, my kids gonna get it out the mud. That's one of the dumbest things that you could say. We got to be the type to set up our next generation to take it to the next level when we're out of here. So get with Andrew, get some life insurance in place for your family, protect your family, set up generational wealth, because this is something that our community desperately needs to be doing. there's a study out there, and I don't know if you heard it, but it's projected the Black wealth to be at zero by 2053.
Yeah.
We got to change that. And, you know, I'm going to put it out there. I said it before. I'll say it again. Yes, we are owed reparations. We deserve reparations, but I ain't holding my breath. You know what I'm saying? We ain't waiting. We got to go out there and we got to get it. But there's opportunities for us to get it, and we can work together. Get with this brother because he has a heart to help people. It's not about money with him. And I knew that right away, the way that he broke down the different types of life insurance are out there and how it's not a one size fits all. He'll help you determine what you and your family's best needs are according to your goals and put something in place that will bless your generations to come. So that's my final words. Get with this brother, tap into what he has going on, and let's build together. Let's go out there and work together. Let's stop being, you know, at each other's end. We gotta get back to, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. So
definitely. You the man, Rich. You the man. I gotta give you the fist bump through the screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for watching. If you just kind of caught the end of this, the replay will be available on my page. You can also go to Elevating Men on Facebook or YouTube, but I highly suggest that you watch this video from start to finish. A lot of great information about mindset and how you can really improve your situation. Share it with those that you love, and stay tuned for next time. We'll be back again on Monday for the men's panel. Of course, I'll go ahead and put out a notification for that, so be looking for it, but I appreciate each and every last one of you. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.